while overnight tonight, and you'll get a nice view of those bolts on the Atlantic. Here at home, everything is, well, still quiet as we can see. This is 10 o'clock, same thing for Raleigh, same for Charlotte, and there are no active alerts either. So as I said, nothing's happening. Round 2, though, is obvious, right? All you have to do is look out to the west, and there's a lot going on, actually, and Tennessee has been going through it today, to say the least. They've really had a horrible time, and unfortunately, I think this is a storm that's caused a lot of pain and heartache already, with terrible tornadoes in the Nashville area and elsewhere. If we load up the storm reports, this is what we had in our state, which was bad enough already. At one point, 150,000 people were without power. And there's still a lot that don't have it. But you go over to Tennessee, and they had, all sorts of problems. Some really big tornadoes in parts of the state near Columbia, which is south of Nashville. And the only reason I'm showing you this, not because I think our storms are going to be to this level, but it's just, it's telling the story of what they've done. And these storms have a history of being pretty tough, all right? Now, if you live here a while, you watch the weather, you know what works and what doesn't work for us. A lot of times, our worst storms with severe weather come at us like this. They come at us from the south, and a couple of things happen when you can do that. Number one, you can sidestep the North Carolina mountains, which means that you are not dealing with the challenges they present. You're not dealing with the elevation. You're not having to, climb up and down, anything like that. And number two, you're bringing in a warmer, more humid wind direction. A couple things happened to us today. We got cloudy for a while. We had a little bit of rain for a while. That all cools us and stabilizes our air, and it prevents the upward motion that you need for thunderstorms to form. So if we had storms coming in from the south, there would be a nice big push, a bad push, of warmer, more humid air into our area. We don't really have that right now. And these storms are more or less going to be coming at us from the west. So that's one thing in our favor, because we need these to weaken. You can see right now there are still about 9 tornado warnings live. We have many, many more severe thunderstorm warnings. And there's a lot of lightning and there's a lot of wind, and all of those things are coming our way. But they have to cross the mountains. So that's an obstacle. It doesn't prevent it from being strong or severe overnight tonight, but it is a good thing that they have some obstacles in the way before they do it. And so that's kind of what we're seeing. I want you to be alert 1 a.m. to 6. Now you can go to bed. Ideally, you have a NOAA weather radio. Well, it's 10:15 at night. You're not likely to go to Walmart and buy one. I understand that. I don't even know if they're open anymore after COVID. They're closed. The store's closed. They used to be 24 hours. Anyway, you're not going to go buy a NOAA weather radio unless you already have one. What can you do? Well, you can make sure that your emergency alert tones are turned on your phone. Well, how do you do that? If you have an iPhone, you're going to go to your settings. It's that button that looks like a gear, right? That big gray button. It said settings. And then you're going to go to notifications. You're going to scroll all the way down, all the way through your notifications, down to the bottom. At the bottom, you're going to see where it says government alerts. It'll say Amber Alerts. It'll say emergency alerts. Turn those on. You want those to be turned on. And the reason for that is that if there is a public safety issue, an emergency alert issue, a tornado warning, your phone's going to buzz like crazy. It's not going to happen often. It's pretty much something that's only going to happen when you need it to happen. Okay, so it's something you want to have. It's something that's good to do. It's actually something that's pretty easy to do as well. So make sure that's ready to go before you go to bed. And also make sure that it is close to you. Don't leave it downstairs. Don't have it in the other room with the cats. With you, charged up. Ignore the sleep experts for a night and have that phone close by. All the blue light included. That's fine for now. What's our risk? Well, like I said, a lot of these are going to weaken for us. but it's still a chance for bad weather. And as we look here, you'll notice our area is still in a level 2 threat level. Now, what does that mean? Well, we have these different threat levels when it comes to severe thunderstorms. All it tells us is how likely or how unlikely severe storms are going to happen, plus it also explains how likely they are. So not only will there be a couple, but are there going to be many? There are a lot of things that go into it. So bottom line, our region of the state is split between a level 2 concern tonight and some of us a level 1 concern. If you're a little farther north, you're a little farther east, maybe they don't make it quite that far. Maybe they aren't holding their strength all that much. Now, this is the threat level. I know it says Wednesday up here. Us meteorologists are weird. We don't play by the rules sometimes. The Wednesday outlook and every day's outlook goes until what we call 12Z. Well, what is that? It's a magical time of day. It's 8 a.m. So this runs through 8 a.m. tomorrow. So basically it stays today until people go to work tomorrow. That's the risk level for tonight. Now for tomorrow, we also have another risk level. We'll talk about that later. I think that might get lowered. As part of the risk for tonight into 8 a.m. tomorrow, 8 a.m. Thursday, what's the tornado risk? Well, for our area, it's low. Low is not zero, okay? Low is not zero. So it means that the way the atmosphere is stacked out today, when the storms roll through, if there's enough upward motion, it's possible there could be a couple tornadoes across the state. That's what a low risk means. It doesn't mean you're not going to have them. Sometimes people ask me, are we going to have tornadoes? And they just want me to say no. I can't say no. It's unlikely. It's not very likely, but it is a low chance. And a low chance is higher than normal, right? Farther off to the west, why is this a higher risk? Well, I just showed you the radar. There are storms with tornado warnings right there. So if they maintain their strength, this part of the state's going to have tornadoes. So they're in a medium strength. The ones that will track into our area don't right now have tornadoes, and we're a little bit cooler in the first place. So all of these factors go into it. The folks at SPC do a nice job. We don't make those maps. We don't generate those forecasts. I am a messenger for them, and almost always agree. Almost always. So here we are through tonight. Another thing I'll mention, don't take this time at the top of the screen for gospel. This is a guide. When it comes to this model, I like to see how it shows the storms more so than I like it for the timing. I think if anything, this is usually reliably slow. So what I mean by reliably slow is it's slow enough, often enough, that I can actually mentally adjust it. So what I'm telling you is when I see that it has storms over Boone at 2 a.m. This is probably 1 a.m. or even 12:30 a.m. Okay, this is not likely to be 2 a.m. It's going to be a little earlier than that. But notice what it's doing. It's putting a pretty nasty line in our area. Nastier to the south, a little less nasty to the north, but nasty nonetheless. This model gets a little excited. The colors usually look a little bit too scary. We'll keep that into account. So this is probably around 2 a.m. At this point. This is more or less right around 3:30, 4 a.m. We don't want to see some things like these move through. A couple of things I don't like on this image. You see how it's making these little notches? This is where you can get in trouble with little rotations. You can get those rotations on we call it an inflow notch on a line. If storms move in a line, it's hard for them to rotate on their own. But if one part goes a little bit faster, you can kind of get it to spin a little bit on itself. That's what the model shows here. Will it happen? I don't have a clue. I'm just showing you that it has that potential. And we know that there's spinning in the atmosphere today. That's why we've been talking about it. So this is around 3:30. This would be more or less by around 5 a.m. Most of the action is dying down then. And then by 7, we just likely have some rain left over. And if we get worked over good enough, and what I mean by that is if it rains to beat the band and we're really seeing all this go wild in the morning, even if it's just rain, you get a lot of it, it's hard to recover the atmosphere effectively to make more storms. It can happen. It does happen. It might happen tomorrow, but it's hard to do, and it's not as easy. So what I'm telling you is our main severe weather concern for the rest of the week is overnight tonight. And it's from 1 a.m. in the west to 6 a.m. in the east. We'll run this back for you. Ignore the time up there. Just listen to my voice. This is about 11:30 p.m. This is around 2 a.m. This is around 3:30. This is around 5. This is around 6. And then we're not worried after that. I'm not worried if you have a doctor's appointment at 9 a.m. That's fine. If you're going to lunch with Susie and Jan, that's fine too. Your afternoon walk might be all right. We'll watch the afternoon. It's just not super likely that we get a lot of things to redevelop. Our models are not excited about that possibility, although it could happen, and if it does, we'll watch it carefully. Hopefully everything I just said made sense. If it didn't, I have some graphics that will say it better than I can. I'm going to leave this up for you. And what I'm going to do, I've talked quite a lot right now. I want to look back through the comments and see what you're thinking, see where your head's at. This is, guys and gals and everybody, this is something that we deal with every year. It is not anything unusual. It's not anything out of the ordinary. It's okay to be anxious or scared. That's a natural reaction. We're telling you, hey, storms could be on the way. Hey, you're probably going to be asleep when that happens. That's not a fun thing to hear. So we know that. But it does happen every year, and it's not out of the ordinary. And we'll get through it no matter what happens. We always get through it. And just to kind of, address the storm anxiety, that's a natural thing that happens when you hear about a bad weather forecast. Okay. So anyway, that's the case. I'm not overly concerned. I'm cautiously concerned. I'm not overly concerned. And I've liked what I've seen so far today compared to what it could have been. And we hope that it continues. All right. So I got two streams going here. So I'm going to scroll on the News 2 Facebook page right now. We've got Kenny Metzger watching from Mount Airy. Said it was windy earlier. Gerald Hicks is a kind person. Good to see you. Okay, cool. Not many questions on that page. A lot of questions on my page. Eric, thank you. That's nice to say. A lot of people are saying hello. Brenda says hello. We have some people with new homes. Karen wants to know, will there be a lot of wind when the front approaches? So that's actually a great question. And a lot of times when we have a system like this, it's going to be windy regardless. Like, it's just a really windy setup no matter what, and you're going to have wind the whole time. It's not really the case this time. I actually don't think it's super windy overnight unless you get a bad storm. So the wind shouldn't be that bad tonight. When it will start to get windy, to answer your question, that'll be in the middle of the day, Karen. So this is 10:30 on our model. Karen Walton had this question. This is the middle of the day. This is not that bad. Tomorrow afternoon, that's when the front passes by. It'll be pretty breezy, but it's not like a wintertime cold front or anything like that. I think the worst we could see would be actually some gusts on Friday night or higher than that. We could see a gust around 30 miles per hour here or there outside of thunderstorms. If you get a bad storm tonight, some of those could have a wind gust of 40 or 50, okay? That's what we saw in Charlotte earlier today. Some other positive news as we look at the radar here, the tornado warnings are dwindling a little bit. The storms are getting a little closer to the mountains. Again, hopefully they do their job. They don't always. We will see. Other people have some questions. April, thank you. That's nice. Katie, yeah, you can go to bed, but just make sure the phone is close by. But everyone can make their own choices here. Jamie, does the angle of the mountains ever push the storms north? No, not really. It's also a good question. They kind of just chug along. it does force the air in a very important direction. On one side of the mountains, like if my hand is the mountain right here and the air is coming like this, it forces the air up and then it forces the air down. When you're forcing air up, you're actually increasing the strength and you're allowing the air to rise more efficiently. You're creating more upward motion. That creates more evaporation, more condensation. You get clouds, you get rain, sometimes storms. But it's why if you live on the western side in our part of the world, if you live on the western side of a mountain range, you get a lot of rain. If you live on the downwind side, the lee side as we call it, that's a downsloping wind. The air is going down again, and then you're actually drying out the air. It's the opposite. So hopefully that answers your question. Other questions? Just a lot of thank yous. That's good to see. Lee does not want new hail, just got a new roof. All right. I hope that's the case. For sure. They had some 3-inch hail in Asheville earlier today. Other questions? Will there be more live updates tonight? Don't know. That's a good question. I plan to be here until 2 in the morning. At that point, Christian Morgan's coming in. So we're going to kind of do a little handoff here. There will always be someone here at the station, even if you're not hearing from us. We're just going to be here in case tornado warnings start to pop. And then we'll be on TV. So you really need to pop the TV on or stream. If you're going to a safe spot, there's a tornado warning, this or that, you're going to want to bring that with you. So bring the phone with you. That's the great part about living in 2024 is you don't have to be alone when you go to the safe spot. It used to be if you were without earshot from the TV, you couldn't get any info unless you brought the radio. You can bring it right with you, and we'll be streaming if there's a tornado warning. I'm not so sure there will be. We do have that risk tonight. Again, our risk for a tornado is pretty low. It's not 0. This is the risk level through 8 in the morning. We have a low risk here. It's part of those storms. Here's the futurecast again. This is around 11:30. Again, I'm shaving off the time here on our own. This is around 2:30. This is more like 3:30 and 4. This is actually a new run. So since the last time I showed it to you, it's an updated run, a newer model. It looks like it's changed in a couple of ways. It's a little bit less in a line and a little bit more individual with the storms. That can be a bad thing sometimes, but it also looks less intense. And I think it might be sensing that we had a good amount of cloud cover this afternoon, and also we had some rainfall. It can be really hard for the atmosphere to recover at nighttime. So it's not a bad run. Our computer model has some different opinions. This is around 1 a.m. This is 2. This is a good option. Our model is less excited about the storms, guys. So again, this is not a slam dunk here. It's not a slam dunk that we're going to have bad weather. It's a chance, right? It's a chance that the weather gets pretty tough overnight while you're sleeping. But there's just as good of a chance that it's really not that bad either. So we root for the good stuff. We root for people. We don't root for the storms. We hope it's fine, but we let you know about it. That's what we do. All right, other questions. Expected power outages. If we have high winds, we will have power outages. There were a ton of power outages in the other part of the state earlier today. So it's certainly possible. Certainly possible. Amy, no, there was no damage from that earthquake. Those headlines you see about earthquakes are mostly nonsense half the time. They're real, but if you get a magnitude 2 or 3, it's really got to be a 3. If you get a 2 earthquake or something, they don't do anything. It just kind of freaks people out. It's real. It did happen. We get them here. We've gotten them several times in the past. It's not something that's bad, which is good. We like that. A lot of people are just joining. They want to recap. We can start fresh from the beginning. Kenny, no, we're not here. We're not here 24 hours individually. On a lot of nights, the weather team will I'll go home at about 11:30. Our morning crew usually comes in around 3 a.m. So we have a little bit of a gap. But for tonight, we are going to hand it off. So at 2 o'clock, we will be doing that. Let's do a little recap, okay? Little recap. Start from scratch toward the beginning. If you heard it all, you say, Tim, I'm done with you. You can leave. This is for the new people. The newbies, it's your turn. So we had a round one earlier in the day. This was for parts of North Carolina, but not for all of North Carolina. As you know, if you live here in our Piedmont Triad part of the state, we're still doing this Facebook Live, and we had round one before. If you live here, it was not that bad, but elsewhere, it really was. And we're talking mostly about the Charlotte area. We're also looking down toward Montgomery County, Baden Lake, Troy, Rockingham, Richmond County. Down to Lumberton, it was bad. There were lots of places where it was bad today. And there were about 150,000 people without power at one point. So there's a lot of power in this storm. Round one is over. That's not coming back. We're really looking toward round two, which is clear as day. When you look on the big radar, there's a lot going on in Tennessee. And all of those storms are trying to head our way. They should weaken a little bit. And we hope that they do, and we wish that they do. I'm expecting that they will. But could they re-strengthen a little bit over us? It's possible. It's enough that we need to watch it. So those storms, which have produced tornadoes, they have produced severe thunderstorms, they're moving through Tennessee. They arrive for us mostly between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. This is the threat level. You can see they were at a really big threat today, guys. This was expected to be bad, and it was. A level 3, a level 4, that's not common. But for us, we're on the tamer side of things. We still, through 8 a.m. tomorrow, this goes through 8 a.m. tomorrow, and then it'll reset. 8 a.m. tomorrow, we still have a level 2 risk in most of our area, and a level 1 in the north, and over to the east as well. For tomorrow afternoon, right now they have it at a slight. That might get adjusted. What's the tornado chance? Could there be tornadoes? It's not very likely, but it's possible, and it's a low chance. So that's what we have for this evening. Again, this runs through 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I've already told you the one threat that I want us to watch is mostly between 1 in the morning and 6 a.m. The last couple runs of our computer models, and when I say a run of a computer model, what does that mean? It literally means like if there was someone standing on and using this big fancy computer that's going to predict the weather, run. Make it go. That is what that means. This particular model gets run every hour. And so every hour we get a new opinion from it. It is a short-term model. Some of the big ones that go out 10 days into the future, they only get run 3 or 4 times a day. 2 or 4 times a day, really. But this one gets run every hour. So we got a new version. They're always different. They're always changing. That's why I don't take them that seriously, but it's a guide, a timing guide. This one has been too slow. So this would be around midnight. This is around 2 a.m. This is around 3 or 4. Let's say about 5, and then we're done at 7-ish. There could be some rain after that. Our WFMY computer model is a bit more optimistic. It likes our chances better of having not so bad weather. This is 1 a.m., 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, that's why I'm telling you, you can go to bed as long as those alerts are turned on your phone and you keep it close, okay? You can do that. That's all right. And I wouldn't, honestly, if I didn't have the job I have, I would do that too. If I'm you, I would, of course, watch the news at 11 o'clock on WFMY and tell your friends to do that too. But after that, I would go to bed and I would have the alerts turned on my phone. And if you get woken up by the alerts, obviously, go to your safe spot, know where that's going to be, and put on our stream, and we will let you know what's going on and how you guys need to stay safe. But otherwise, if you wake up and it's 6 a.m. and it wasn't that bad, well, that's good too. So that's just my 2 cents on that. A little bit of a wider view here. You can see it might be a repeat where the worst is south of us. And then early tomorrow morning, we're really finishing up on this. Redevelopment tomorrow afternoon is possible, but I don't think very likely. I think it'll be a little harder to do that So we'll watch, but we're not that worried. We haven't talked about this, but boy, is the weekend looking nice. Saturday and Sunday both look delightful. We'll be in the 50s in the morning, 70s for the afternoon. It's really comfortable, and it's a lot less humid. It's kind of sticky out there right now. Not going to be that way this weekend. You get kind of a flashback. We've been kind of playing late spring weather lately, early summer weather. You're going to go back a few weeks in time, and it's going to feel like that. But it's not going to be cold, so it'll be a really nice Mother's Day weekend for you. That's what I have. I've said plenty here. I think we've been going for about half an hour or so. I want to scroll back and see what you have to say. Kenny's talking about baseball. That means I talked good about the weather, hopefully. All right. Your Orioles beating my Yankees all the time. Brittany, yes, the Reidsville storm was crazy yesterday, and it really put down a lot of hail, too. Was it a tornado in Gaston County today is the question. They don't know that yet. I'm pretty sure they're going to investigate tomorrow. There was a lot of damage. And from what I've seen, they put up some drones and got some aerial coverage. This question is from, well, somebody I can't see now. Lisa wants to know. They put up a drone, and most of the trees looked like they were in the same direction. So it's probably a microburst or a macroburst or a downburst, doesn't matter what you call it. Wind hitting the ground going rather than swirling wind. That's the only difference, but lots of damage for sure. Walter, we talked about that. Pretty much we're just watching between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. NOAA weather radio is a good thing. Yes, sir, Christian. Probably not going to buy one between now and 1 a.m., but if you have one, make sure it's used. Use it. Liam's weather's here. Good to see you, Liam. Christian Etheridge weather is, well, good to see you too. Our two weather buddies. Carol says thank you. Good stuff. All right, now that the weather's over, we can talk about baseball, I guess, or something that you'd like. Food, cooking. Mark Jacobs wants to know, when is it expected to hit Elon? Okay, let's just do a recap. Can never show the storm timing enough. So, one a.m., 3 a.m., 4 and 5. Alamance County, your question is more like 4 or 5 a.m. You're pretty far east. Another model here. This is actually the same model. Sorry, y'all. Hope I don't have to talk for a couple hours tonight. I might say some silly things. This is too slow. This would be around 2:30. This is around 4. That's around 5. So for Alamance, about 4 to 5. Guilford, about 3 to 4. Forsyth, about 2 to 3 or so. Yes, Kenny, don't make me block you. I know the Orioles are better than my Yankees. I get it. Hello, Pamela. Hello, Liam. Hello, Kimberly. Kimberly Russell, good to hear from you. I thought about you today. Kimberly, one of our weather spotters from way back in the day. Nasty win in Huntersville. Yeah, tough stuff. Hey there, Georgette. Good to see you, too. Galloway. All right, y'all. That's all the time I have for you. Got to get ready for the news. We got that coming up for you on News 2 at 11 o'clock. I'll have a new model at that point, too. We can show you that. And, yeah, be safe. Be good. I'll try and do another one of these when I'm bored later on tonight. Maybe around 1 a.m. we can do one. If you're up, I'll see you then. If not, go to bed. Have the alerts on.